this is actually kind of funny. I went looking for surveys to take specifically based on liberalism, and this is one of the surveys that came up, which once you look at it, it's clearly not from a liberal bent. It's obviously a libertarian survey. In fact, it's the exact same survey that shows up on libertarianism.com. Well, okay, I'm game anyhow. But I say that having done some of these before that desperately tried to cast me as a libertarian. So I'm interested to see how this one does. And since it's short, it won't take a lot of time. So away we go. Government should not censor speech, press, media, or internet. Well, ideally no. Of course, you can't just say never, because there are some things that just shouldn't be disseminated, but for the most part, I'm for free speech for everyone, in everything, so long as what you're saying isn't slanderous, doesn't call for violence, and it doesn't hand over government secrets to the enemy. Otherwise, go for it. And that means I think so-called hate speech is nonsense. I couldn't care less if your precious little feelings are hurt. That's not for me to control. You just need to grow up. Military service should be voluntary. There should be no draft. Again, ideally there should be no draft, but we don't always live in an ideal world. Can I imagine instances where we might need a draft? Absolutely. Are any of those instances likely? No. But the question is about what should happen, not what's likely to happen. But if we did have a draft, I think everyone should be eligible, not just men. Equality means you take the good with the bad, not just the good. There should be no laws regarding sex for consenting adults. No, I actually don't agree with that at all. Now, for most things, yes, but it doesn't say not many laws, it says no laws. Okay, what about crush fetishes, where small animals or even people are crushed for sexual pleasure? Now, I don't care how old the people involved are, animals don't get to consent. So those things should be illegal. And the same with cannibalism fetishes. Even if both parties consent, having one eat the other shouldn't be allowed. And the same with anything that causes physical harm to another person, voluntary or not. So no. Repeal laws prohibiting adult possession and use of drugs. Nope, not a chance. Now, I've already gone into this before, so I won't go into it again, but I consider recreational drug users to be pathetic human beings and a waste of human skin. So, no, I'm not for repealing any such laws and never will be. There should be no national ID card. Well, newsflash for you people. There already is, and we call it a social security card. It's how the government identifies you as an individual, and every single citizen has one, whether they like it or not. It's kind of necessary. So not only should there be one, there already is. End corporate welfare. No government handouts to businesses. Well, absolutely. There should be no welfare for anyone. Of course, that should be, not is, and it's a good goal to have. A business needs to perform and be profitable. If it isn't, it needs to go out of business. We should not give tax money to businesses, especially established businesses, for any reason. End government barriers to international free trade. Well, it depends on what you mean by that. Because again, I can imagine scenarios where we would need government barriers. I mean, should we allow American companies to do business with an enemy state? If we're at war with, just to pull something out of the air, Australia, should we allow American companies to sell military hardware to Australia? Because that's what unlimited international free trade would mean. So, maybe? Let people control their own retirement. Privatize Social Security. Well, yes, we should. But you have to remember that the only reason we have Social Security in the first place is because people are generally bad at saving for retirement. People didn't like the idea of little old ladies eating cat food. So yes, we should, but that requires people being responsible, and it requires that people who are irresponsible have to suffer the consequences of their own irresponsibility. Now, I'm fine with that, but I suspect it would be a hard fight. Replace government welfare with private charity. Well, in general, yes. Now, I don't think we're ever going to completely get rid of welfare, but the majority of it should be supplied by private charities funded voluntarily by Americans who wish to do so. Anything that pushes responsibility, I support. If people knew that they couldn't count on a government check showing up every month, maybe more would just get off their asses and work. Cut taxes and government spending by 50% or more. Yeah, that's a great thought, isn't it? I don't know how realistic it is, but I'd love to see a major downsizing in the government and especially in government spending. Of course, we know there's absolutely no will in Washington to do so, not by any party out there, so it's not going to happen. But it sure is a great thought, isn't it? Now, my results are a bit surprising because they're actually honest, and I didn't expect that. But it correctly identifies me as a conservative, even though the description of what a conservative is, especially a secular conservative, is just wrong. So, economic freedom? Yes. Traditional values? Not really. Yeah, existing values that still demonstrably work in the modern world? Yeah. And defending morality? Not a chance, especially if you're talking about religious morality. I might almost agree with the last sentence, although I think we spend way the hell too much on the military. So I think they're going in the right direction, mostly. They're just assuming religiosity is a component of conservatism, which we all know is wrong. So what do you think? Go take the test for yourself and post your scores in the comments. I think the problems with a lot of these small tests is they just don't provide a lot of nuance. I mean, I could come up with exceptions for every single question and answer maybe, and I'd get scored as a centrist. And the one thing I noticed is that no matter what answers I gave, I couldn't get any result to wind up on the liberal side. And that's a little funny for a test that purported to tell you how much of a liberal you were.
Everything changes.